Colts fans, training camp is coming in hot. What I want to do now, let's make a deal. If you subscribe, you'll get Colts content all year long for free. What I'll get, your support to keep making Colts content, more videos, more shorts, more posts. Again, we just need you to hit that sub button right now. What do you say? Let's make a deal. Alrighty, let's get into it here on Colts Talk presented by Prize Picks. Make sure to use code HMA. That'll get you $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. ESPN dropped kind of a surprise roster starters outlook for the Indianapolis Colts, who they think will be starting for this team, plus some narratives around the roster as a whole. But notably, 20th in the NFL. That's where they project the Colts lineup to be within the big dogs, right? The competitive, the non-competitive, and I think 20 speaks to last season. The question is, can the Colts do better or will they do worse than 20th in 2026? Let's start with their biggest strength that ESPN listed on the Colts roster outlook. Now, they said running back. I think that's unfair because the running back position as a whole is not their biggest strength. Jonathan Taylor, though, is their biggest strength. So I think they should have went biggest strength, Jonathan Taylor in this scenario, right? This is a guy coming off a Pro Bowl season for Indianapolis, entering the final year of a 3-year extension. And look, that's going to be a big narrative for Jonathan Taylor in this upcoming year. Not only the idea that he's in a contract year, we also kind of need to discuss the fact that it's like, hey, he fell off in the second half like the rest of this team did after Daniel Jones was out. Now that's blocking, that's, offensive scheme, that's different things going into it. But certainly feels like Taylor with an extension looming is the strength of this football team in general. So that is true for Jonathan Taylor, no doubt about it. I do think he is the strength of this team. I do find it ironic, though, because last week into this week and in between, we've had multiple trade rumors / trade ideas for Jonathan Taylor after his contract. Stephen Holder of ESPN reported no progress, right, on the contract situation. So, in response, we got 2 trade ideas very quickly from the trade machines. The first one, CBS Sports thought the Steelers should deal for Jonathan Taylor. I thought that was an interesting one. I didn't love the deal there. That was like a 3rd rounder in 2027. And then the Bears from ESPN themselves, they're calling him the strength of the team, and yet they say maybe we should give it a trade idea. They said the Bears should go for it and take a big swing and go after Jonathan Taylor in general. And I'll add, I don't think this is the end here, guys. I think we could make a list of 5, 6, 7 teams as we continue to go on without an extension. It's a good player. A lot of teams are going to be interested in Jonathan Taylor in general. Again, I think after Daniel Jones went out, it was a tall task in general to ask of him to go out there and just be the guy with really the other team knowing Phillip Rivers can throw 15 yards and that's it. And yet you've seen multiple Pro Bowl seasons, 1,000-yard seasons in a row from Jonathan Taylor, which you love to see. I will note, when we're discussing the trade situation for Jonathan Taylor at this point in time, this is the trade that I keep seeing over and over again. Christian McCaffrey, where he was at that point in time, a different point in time. But you got to note here, McCaffrey traded from the Panthers to the Niners, and what happened next? He had a whole nother career in front of him. He had years left. He had a playoff games to play. He had a lot left to give when the Panthers sent him to San Francisco. So whether the Colts get a haul like that, which I don't think they will get a haul like that, to be honest with you. I think that's way too many picks in general to think you'll fetch for an expiring Jonathan Taylor contract. It's another thing. McCaffrey had a year or 2 left on his deal. I think the other part of this is just the idea that, do you want to give Jonathan Taylor up when he's got so much football left to give? I think there's a chance the Panthers may be thinking in general, hey, we gave him up a little too soon. He had a lot of good football left. But when you hear Jonathan Taylor rumors, you're probably going to see something similar to this trade in general. So again, as those rumors continue, we'll kind of keep an eye on that one. Letting you guys know, I know you're excited for Colts football. You want to get back to the games. You want to watch in person. You want to catch the biggest Colts games. That's why we want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video. That is SeatGeek with the MLB in full swing. And as I said, football is getting closer and closer. By the way, you can get World Cup tickets on SeatGeek. Yeah, that's right. If you're thinking about going to concert or a game, I know me and my friends, we immediately throw the SeatGeek link in our app so we can go and take a look at how things are looking. And what do I mean by that? SeatGeek has your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. When you're on SeatGeek, look for the green dots. Green means good. Look for the red dots. That means bad. And, of course, today on Colts Talk, we have a code for you guys, and this is whether you're a new or existing user. You can use code CHAT10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code CHAT10. What you want to do now, make sure you click the link in the description. That's going to download the app and have the code automatically loaded to your account so you can use it later. And I'll give you it one more time. Use code CHAT10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That'll get you 10% off. Why not take advantage? And that's why we want to say thank you, SeatGeek. Biggest weakness for the Indianapolis Colts. That's an interesting one, right? ESPN listed it as off-ball linebacker, which, hey, we just got into the discussion of biggest problems the Colts had to fix, right? And that was edge rusher, getting after the quarterback a little bit. ESPN thinking a little bit differently. They felt like when the Colts went into this offseason, and we knew they were going to try and make changes, seems ESPN does not think they have done enough. Looking at the linebacker room for the Indianapolis Colts, a little bit different than last year, am I right? Akeem Davis-Gaither added at that will linebacker position. C.J. Allen drafted in the second round. He'll play Mike linebacker. Some other guys that are kind of in the mix and could make a difference for the Colts in general. I'm thinking Bryce Betcher is a guy that can step in for the Colts and give you some snaps, as well as some younger guys like West Weeks and Taj Chambers, and some other names, that have a little bit of experience that may push for a job. But we're counting on Allen and Akeem Davis-Gaither plus Bryce Betcher being the guys in general. That's how you're looking at what is the biggest weakness. We'll get more details, but I do want to ask you guys, what do you think is the Colts' biggest weakness? We talked about getting after the quarterback. ESPN talked about linebacker position in general at this point in time. I'm interested to hear from you guys. Join the show by dropping down into the comment section and letting us know what you think. Who is the Colts' biggest weakness? Here's what Mike Clay of ESPN had to say about the linebacker situation. Indy wasn't as aggressive as expected in upgrading their linebacker room as a defense that ranked 30th in a pass rush win rate and 25th in run stop win rate last season. Zaire Franklin, Jermaine Pratt, they departed. He continues, and the team replaced them with journeyman Akeem Davis-Gaither and rookie C.J. Allen and Bryce Betcher. Davis-Gaither has worked as a situational player during most of his 6 NFL seasons, but he and the rookies will battle for the every down work in 2026. I got to say, I think we know the deal with the linebackers, right? Yes, you want to change. Yes, you need to change. Yes, Chris Ballard may change. Look, for ESPN's point, it's not the change they expected. It's not the change they saw coming. It is what it is. I think the Colts made their changes already. I don't expect any other moves pending some sort of injury. I know there's a Bobby Wagner, there's a Bobby Okereke on the free agent market, but I think as of right now, the Colts signed Akeem Davis-Gaither, drafted C.J. Allen, drafted Bryce Betcher. Those are probably going to be your linebackers going into 2026. ESPN also gave us an X factor for the Colts. That X factor, Daniel Jones. Yes, that's right. QB1, still trying to get healthy, still trying to kind of join the Colts from the situation he's getting through. And again, so much excitement over what he did in those 13 games last season, but it's all about getting healthy right now. And I think that is the biggest deal for Daniel Jones at this point in time. Those 13 games left us wanting so much more from Daniel Jones, especially with how they played in the games after that. But we know this is a guy recovering from an Achilles tear and a broken fibula, and he's had major injuries in the past for Indianapolis. So you can cling on to those 13 games, right? You're feeling good about those 13 games in general. Those mean a lot to you as Colts fans in general. But again, I think last year's stats tell one story compared to the rest of Daniel Jones's career. You've got other seasons where I'm just not completely sure that he's going to be the dude. Because if you look at his career, and again, we've got the past couple of years for you here. I think we were doing the math here on Colts Talk. In about 8 years in the NFL, he's had 2 good years. So what's your math there? 2 out of 8, right? You need to see more. You have to see more from Daniel Jones in the upcoming season. You have playoff years, and you can cling to that, and you can get excited about that, but you'll also have a lot to address going forward. I am not sold on Daniel Jones. I'm not. Like I said, you've got 2 out of 7, 2 out of 8 good years in the NFL in general, and you actually have 2 major injuries to go along with that. So I think that matters. I don't think the Colts are sold on Daniel Jones yet, right? They only gave him a 2-year contract. They could have given him 5, 6, 10, right? Give him a Mahomes contract. No, they said 2 years, most of the money this year, and then we'll see in the future what you need. Like I said, 2 in a row. Give me 2 quality seasons in a row. And by the way, in my personal opinion, I think that should include not getting hurt. A quality and full season should be what Daniel Jones is looking for in the upcoming year, because what you want to do is not have to worry about injury and not have to worry about consistent play with your quarterback. Final category before I run down the entire roster outlook for the Colts that ESPN gave, a non-starter to know, and that is Justin Walley, the cornerback for the Colts. And we've looked at this depth chart a couple of times here. This is our personal depth chart for the Colts. Walley's our guy. He's the nickel. He's the slot. There's a lot of excitement around him. There's a lot of build around him in general. And I think we're feeling pretty good about where things are at with Walley getting that nickel position for Indianapolis. Because, look, the biggest deal, what you want to know with a guy like this is, yes, last season he got hurt, but everybody very, very impressed with what he was doing in general. There could be some light competition. You know, all those names that are backups, they could play nickel. They could push Walley for nickel. But pre-ACL injury, everybody has said about the same thing, that Walley looked really, really good, and they're very excited to get back out there. I haven't seen any sort of argument or anything that I think that tells me, like, I think Justin Walley may not play in the upcoming or start for the Colts in the upcoming season. Everybody's talked about him. We've seen a lot from him, and I think there's a lot of excitement around Justin Walley as a starter for the Colts. And I know ESPN listed him as a non-starter. I think that's a discussion we have to have coming up here. Before we get to the rest of the show, I do want to show you guys a lineup I was following last night on Prize Picks. And if you take a look, our guy Holland, we had more on half goal. He was good on that. He had 2. Harry Kane, more on goal plus assists. You guys know I love putting those together. He had more on the half there, but Harry Kane couldn't get it done on 1.5 shots. We had more on 1. He did not get that one. What I wished I had is something like this, a max discount. Yeah, that's right. You can get a max discount tonight for Balogan. He's more on passes attempted at a half. Read that carefully. Half a pass attempted for a star like Balogan. You'd love to have that be a part of your lineup. Well, Prize Picks is offering that right now. All you have to do, take advantage of our new user offer. That's right. Right now, download the Prize Picks app today with the link in the comment section and description. Then you're going to use code HMA. That'll get you $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code HMA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. One more time, I'll give it to you guys. It is code HMA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup, because on Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Here's what ESPN had for the Colts roster outlook. This is how they listed it, how they see it. We're gonna get into our yeses and nos in this current situation. Colts offense, Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine as that third wide receiver, and then Tyler Warren. I'll note they also had Mo Alley-Cox, which you expected. I didn't think it was necessary to add another tight end there. That's your starting outlook to be in. My initial thought, no Ashton Doolin, really? After everything he had done in minicamp and OTAs and whatever else you want to say for the Colts in general, ESPN still not giving the love to Doolin. Very, very impressive. I'd start him over Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. I don't know necessarily why ESPN doesn't have him as a starter. We'll have to keep an eye and see if Doolin can do more in training camps to earn that job. That'll bring us to the offensive line. And what I'll say here, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I don't think is going to surprise anybody, and yet you kind of look at this group and you want more, right? I don't know if it's just one of those deals where the Colts clearly have confidence. They didn't think they needed to make a bunch of moves, so it's Bernhard Raimann, Quenton Nelson, Tanor Bortolini, Matt Goncalves, Jalen Travis as your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think Jalen Farmer could push for a job in there, but overall, on the offensive line, I have no arguments. I have nobody that sticks out to me, doesn't look good, doesn't look bad. I just think that's the 5 I expected. One thing I'll say, they got to be better. They were bad when Daniel Jones was playing. Maybe not bad, but could have been better when he was playing, and then they definitely could have been better when he wasn't playing in general. So that's the outlook on the offensive line, which, again, a group that wasn't unexpected in general. Let's move to the defense, and hey, you can tell me if you're surprised by any of these names in general, but I'll be honest, if you watch Colts Talk, This is the group we've been pitching to you for a while that it looks like it's going to be on defense. I will again say I think Arden Key is going to have a good, solid year as an edge rusher for the Colts. You hope DeForest Buckner will come in healthy and that your veteran guys can lead this group. We had the linebacker discussion early in the show, so it's Gaither, Keem Davis-Gaither, and C.J. Allen there. But a big name, the guy to watch, the all eyes are going to be on Laiatu Latu. Big year 3 for him. Lou Anarumo's hyping up. The Colts are hyping him up. He's hyping himself up. That should mean double-digit sacks. That should mean a big year. I want to see a lot from Laiatu Latu for the Colts in general. Before we get to the last on the defense to finish this one out, I'm going to give the Colts roster a grade. That's right. A, B, C, D, or F. Think about the entire roster, the offense, the defense. Give them a report card grade, A, B, C, D, or F. Maybe the most confusing group on this one. Look, I think you have a great 1-2 punch there in Sauce Gardner and Charvarius Ward. Mekhi Blackmon, interesting because that's the Wally spot. That's the nickel spot. That's your third corner. Cam Bynum and Wanye Thomas. Interesting stuff from ESPN. Wrong stuff from ESPN, I think, on this one in general. Begins with Wally. Look, you can't... you put him in the non-starter category. I get that. But you also just pitch, like, keep an eye on Justin Wally. Why? He's probably going to start at that nickel spot. That one was a little confusing to me. Mekhi Blackmon's got a little more experience, obviously. But Wally's good enough that he absolutely should be starting for the Colts when they open the 2026 season. Like I talked about, I haven't heard otherwise. ESPN's the first to list. I think they just did that because Blackmon has played in the NFL a little bit more than Wally. And then Wanye Thomas at the other safety spot opposite Cam Bynum. No, that's A.J. Halsey's spot, my friend. He has shown up and shown out in OTAs, in minicamp, and I'll say he's got the fans excited about what he'll be doing during the 2026 season. I think Halsey's going to be a great fit opposite Cam Bynum. I think ESPN once again was looking at rookie or a guy with a little bit of experience in Wanye Thomas or even Jonathan Owens. But let's keep an eye on Halsey to actually have that starting spot and all the rest of the Colts as their depth chart and roster continues to take shape.